You're the nice guy. You treat her with respect. You check up on her. You listen when she talks. You compliment her. You never pressure her. And yet, she disappears. No reply. No message. No explanation. One moment she seems interested, and the next, nothing. She's gone. You ask yourself, what happened? What did I do wrong? You replay the conversations in your head. You search for clues, but all you're left with is confusion. Then you find the black pill, and it hits you like a wave. They say it's your looks, your height, your jawline, your money, your genetic value. They tell you that if you're not in the top 10% of men, you'll always be invisible, always ghosted, always ignored. And for a moment, it feels like an answer. It feels like the truth you've been searching for. You think that must be it. I'm just not good looking enough. The half-truth of the black pill. But what if I told you that's only part of the story? What if I told you the black pill is hiding the real reason women ghost the so-called nice guy? Because the truth goes deeper. And it's not about your face. It's not about your wallet. It's not about your height. It's about energy. It's about presence. It's about who you are when you're not pretending. And most of all, it's about what you believe you're worth. Let's get one thing straight. The black pill isn't completely wrong. Yes, attraction matters. Yes, women have options. And yes, dating apps and social media have made things harder for average guys. But that's where the black pill stops. It gives you the cold facts, but it doesn't give you the full picture. It focuses only on what you were born with, not what you can build. That's the lie. And that lie keeps millions of men stuck in pain, bitterness, and helplessness. The problem with being too nice. Because when a woman ghosts you, it's not always because she found someone taller or richer. Sometimes it's because of the way you made her feel. Or more accurately, the way you didn't. The truth is, many nice guys aren't actually nice. They're afraid. They're anxious. They're trying to earn love by being overly available, overly agreeable, and overly eager. They don't express desire boldly. They seek permission instead of connection. And women can feel it. She can feel when you're texting her just to keep her from leaving. She can feel when you're complimenting her just to win approval. She can feel when your kindness comes with an invisible string attached. When you're hoping that being a good guy will somehow convince her to choose you. But attraction doesn't work that way. It's not a reward system. It's not something you earn through effort. It's something you ignite through energy, presence, and leadership. What she really feels. When a woman ghosts the nice guy, it's often because he was trying too hard. He gave too much, too soon, without ever showing who he really was. He never challenged her, never led the interaction, never made her feel like he had something of value beyond politeness. And without realizing it, he put her on a pedestal. She became the prize. He became the one chasing. And that imbalance made her feel pressure instead of excitement, obligation instead of desire. She didn't ghost him because he wasn't good enough. She ghosted him because she couldn't feel his core, his groundedness, his truth, his strength. And here's where stoicism comes in. A stoic man is not emotionless. He's not cold, but he's centered. He's present. He lives by principles. He doesn't seek validation. He offers connection, not from a place of need, but from abundance. And when a woman pulls away or goes silent, he doesn't panic. He doesn't chase. He observes. And then he decides if her actions align with his standards. Why the black pill doesn't teach. This is the part the black pill ignores. It doesn't talk about masculine energy. It doesn't talk about emotional regulation. It doesn't talk about self-worth. Why? Because those things require work. Real, uncomfortable, internal work. It's easier to blame genetics than to build character. It's easier to say women only want chads than to admit that maybe, just maybe, your desperation is the real turnoff. And that's the most dangerous part of the black pill. It tells men they are powerless. But the truth is, you are not powerless. In fact, the moment you take full responsibility for your energy, your habits, your mindset, and your values, you start to transform. You start becoming a man who isn't ghosted because he doesn't rely on others for emotional safety. He has his own. He doesn't get shaken by silence. He doesn't need constant attention. He doesn't beg for love. He leads, quietly, strongly, calmly. How women test you without saying a word. Here's the thing. Women don't ghost men who are deeply rooted in themselves. They ghost men who are afraid to be rejected, who hide their true selves behind a mask of niceness, who text 5 times in a row hoping to win her attention, who confuse people-pleasing with being genuine. A woman can smell fear. She can sense when you're too scared to walk away, and that fear doesn't make her feel safe. It makes her feel responsible, and when she feels responsible, she pulls back, and eventually, she vanishes. Now let's talk about the emotional test. Because yes, women do test men, consciously or unconsciously. They test your calm, your boundaries, your ability to stay grounded when things don't go your way. They test if you can hold your own, if you crumble the moment they seem distant, if you fall apart when they don't reply instantly, and most nice guys fail that test. Not because they're bad people, but because they've never been taught what true inner strength looks like. From rejection to power, it's not about yelling. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's not about being emotionally numb. It's about being okay no matter what happens. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you get ghosted, your mind goes wild with stories. But what if the truth is simple? She didn't feel your strength, and not because it isn't there, but because you didn't show it. You covered it up with excessive politeness, with too much texting, with energy that said, "Please choose me." Now I want you to imagine something different. Imagine you're ghosted, but instead of spiraling, you thank the silence. You use it as a filter. You see her disappearing not as rejection, but as protection. Because you don't want someone who vanishes when things get real. You want someone who values honesty, who matches your energy, who is capable of mature connection. And if she can't do that, why would you want to chase her? The grounded man doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't need closure. He moves forward with dignity because he knows who he is. He knows what he brings, and he knows that his worth is not tied to any one woman. That's the kind of man women don't ghost, not because he plays games, but because he lives in truth, and women can feel the difference. So, if you've been ghosted recently, I want you to stop asking what you did wrong. I want you to stop obsessing over your looks, your height, or your messages, and instead, ask yourself a better question. Ask, did I show up as a man who values himself? Did I chase her approval, or did I express my truth? Was I coming from fear, or from strength? These questions hurt, but they free you. You are not powerless. The black pill won't teach you this. It doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to stay in a place of blame and bitterness. But you're better than that. You're not here to be angry at the world. You're here to master yourself, to build calm, to build strength, to become the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because he attracts. Not with looks, not with money, but with presence. In the end, women don't ghost the man who is confident, grounded, and emotionally strong. They ghost the man who doubts himself, who hides behind smiles and emojis, who is afraid to be bold. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to strip away everything you're not. You don't need to stop being kind. You just need to stop being afraid. And when you do that, the game changes completely. So forget the black pill, forget the lies, forget the bitterness. The truth is simple. She didn't ghost you because you were too nice. She ghosted you because she didn't feel your strength. But it's there, inside you, waiting. And once you unlock it, everything changes.